Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, Fight Family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Moyes.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I'm Alexei Alenik. And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want One Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi, everybody from American Top Picks.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 55 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. And if you want 50 free bucks, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you 50 bucks as a thank you. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, literally however you want your free money. wewantpicks.com/bets. And this is brought to you by EarnU. EarnU is the world's first sports and esports prediction game, allowing you to earn crypto completely risk-free. Check it out now at earnu.io. You're my Vanna White.
Yeah, exactly. But I look better. Tell you that.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, she's 87 years old.
/Freckle Salamander. Check for yourself.
All right, Jakey, let's just jump right in. I don't know why my throat's a mess, but let's just jump right in.
I can't even tell. It sounds sultry smooth to me.
There it is. There it is. That was a layup for a disgusting joke. You did not take it. All right. First up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Elise Reed taking on Sam Hughes. Elise Reed, 5-1 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, and she's coming off a big win at UFC London. Sam Hughes, 6-4 overall, 2-3 in her last 5, and she's coming off of her first UFC win. And opening up this card, couple ladies making a quick turnaround. Both of them have fought basically within the last 2 months, and Sam Hughes fought less than a month ago, and it was literally her best performance to date. Elise Reed, she's coming off that big upset win over Corey McKenna at UFC London, where she showcased just how talented she actually was. She was very active. She never slows down, and she does not really have great power, but she's got pretty good power for the weight class. She has decent grappling and very good cardio as well. Sam Hughes is a good striker. She's big for the weight class. She's very aggressive, but also ridiculously hittable. And she has almost a negative 2-1 striking differential. She's coming off the upset win over Estela Nunes, where she showcased grappling, which we had not seen grappling from Sam Hughes before. She was able to work in 2 takedowns and more than 3 minutes of control time. And this is an interesting fight because when I first broke this down, there were no odds. I had to do it blind. I guess it was recently added. There were no odds whatsoever. And now, the odds opened up at Elise Reed, a pretty big favorite. Both of them are coming off career-saving fights, right? Both of these women, their careers were on the chopping block. Elise Reed came into the UFC against Sijara Eubanks, went up a weight, got pounded on. Sam Hughes just couldn't find a win to save her life. They finally both put together really nice performances, and now they're just immediately matched up with each other, and the loser may go home as well. And honestly, this is a hard fight to call because before her last fight, I really liked Elise. I said she's much better than you think she is. And if I had not seen either one of their last fights, I still would have said Elise Reed beat Sam Hughes. But watching Sam Hughes' last fight, and she worked in grappling, she got takedowns, a whole new dynamic that we hadn't seen before. And we watched Sijara Eubanks just take Elise Reed down. Granted, it was a weight class up. I legit think Sam Hughes could actually win this fight. And listen, this is not a tentpole pick. I'm not going to go bananas here convincing you that Sam Hughes is going to win. But I do think she will win this fight if she works in the grappling. If she fights this fight the way she fought that last fight, I think she can win. Come forward. We know she can take a ridiculous amount of damage. We know she has a ton of volume. Take the damage, put your volume in, drag Elise Reed to the ground, and she could win 2-1. Jakey boy, what do you think?
Yeah, Sam Hughes is going to be one of those popular upset picks. I know, kind of like it's going to be like the Angela Hill last week, which good call on everyone with Angela Hill. I'm ready with wall of shame for all the people that pick Angela Hill as their lock of the week. I think it's going to be the same thing for Sam Hughes because I see her as kind of that gritty veteran that literally grinded her way to a victory in the last fight. Predicted by me in the fact that I said that the only way that she could win that fight is if she all of a sudden found wrestling in her game. Because you mentioned it, we had not seen wrestling for her, and leading up to that fight, they were doing the interviews or whatever, and she mentioned, all I'm doing is focusing on wrestling this camp, and it paid off. She got hit in the first round. She's probably going to get hit in the first round of this fight before she started to work in the takedowns. So once she started to grind on those takedowns, she was able to tire out Estella and get that victory. There's a well-fought victory for her. In this fight, she's going to get hit. And Elise Reed hits like a truck. Her 1-2 is as strong as anyone's in the division. I don't know if Sam Hughes is going to be able to survive like she did versus Nunes. And I don't think that Elise Reed is going to get quite as tired as Nunes was in that fight. That was one of the biggest turning points of that fight, was Nunes just gassed completely out. And that's when Sam Hughes was able to take over in the striking and then work to the grappling. So I understand why people are so high on Sam Hughes as the underdog, because the grappling is there, right? If she shows up and grapple, Elise Reed, the hole in her game is on the ground, and she cannot get off her back, as we saw with Sajura Eubanks. But Eubanks is a much better wrestler than Sam Hughes. If Sam Hughes can get the takedowns, obviously there's the pass, so I understand why people are picking her, but she just gets hit way too often and loses against people that she probably should lose to all the time. So I'm going to pick Elise Reed, but I understand why people are so high on Sam Hughes.
Yeah, I get it, man. I'm not going to, there's picks where I'll dig my heels in and I'll argue and I'll fight. This is not one of those. The only reason I like Sam Hughes is because of the last fight. And the reality is, at the end of the day, you'll see, if you look at her whole body of work, 6-4, we've only seen one fight with the wrestling. So it was her most recent fight, which is what makes this difficult, because maybe that's every fight going forward. We see tons of fighters completely pivot. Jamie Malarkey did the opposite. The guy was a grappler his entire career. All of a sudden, he's a striker.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Okay.
That's a throwback. That's a throwback there.
There it is. And Sam Hughes might be making the other pivot. So this is a tough one. There's no bet here, but I do think Sam Hughes could pull it off. DraftKings, I don't know, man. If you think Elise Reed gets a stoppage, go for it. If you think Sam Hughes gets the takedowns and can hang on and get some ride time, go for that. But probably not. What do you think?
Probably not.
Okay, also very helpful. The more monkey knife fights, probably a decent play, honestly, because I think they go at it. Elise Reed throws a ton of volume. Sam Hughes is ridiculously hittable, so I think she can get over the 97. And then Sam Hughes also throws a ton of volume. I was actually surprised to see her line at 72, considering, her volume and her forward pace. Check out Monkey Knife Fight. It's daily fantasy, and it's a ridiculous name. I'm not going to lie. The name is kind of stupid, but it is daily fantasy. It's a ton of fun. You go to wewanpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. Take the free money. Take the free deposit match money. Put that on some of those strike lines. wewanpicks.com/MKF. Give it a shot. And if you want 50 free bucks, wewanpicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. This is an interesting one to break down. Next up.
No, this is an easy one to break down. This was easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Lemon squeeze. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Chase Hooper taking on Felipe Colares. Chase Hooper's 10-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off a very disappointing loss about a year ago. Felipe Colares is 10-3 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he's alternating wins and losses. And Chase Hooper is the physical embodiment, and I'm going to talk as nerdy as possible, a physical embodiment of my biggest pet peeve. He is a grappler with no wrestling. None. He's got very good... he's a phenomenal wrestler. Get out of my face.
I mean, his singles are the best I've ever. I've been watching MMA, and I've been wrestling my entire life, Angelo. And his single leg takedowns and the way he runs. Okay,
people are gonna think you're
drives
serious.
Through, and the way he does the thing where because you have it like this, and then you do the thing.
Yep. So, Chase Hooper, physical embodiment. I hate when you have nasty grapplers that don't use the wrestling. That absolutely drives me nuts, but I'll just never understand that. It was a cough. He's very dangerous on the ground. He's slick on the ground, but they're very flashy type moves. Either way, Chase Hooper has very slick BJJ, but only an 18% takedown accuracy, and he has no get-up game if he ends up getting taken down. His striking is not very good, but it's definitely improving. He's a young prospect that I think was exposed in his last fight against Steven Peterson. I think he just needs a little more time to develop. But Chase Hooper, they're giving him a carbon copy of himself because Felipe Colares is a BJJ black belt. He also doesn't have the best striking. He does have good cardio. He's incredibly tough. He never quits. And thank God he's so tough, because if you look at the stats, they tell a very scary story on their feet. Felipe Colares is hit almost 5 times for every 2 strikes that he actually lands. His path to victory is also grappling, and exactly like Chase, he has a miserable takedown accuracy of 21%. And statistically, these guys are very, very similar. They're both good grapplers. They have less than stellar striker, miserable takedowns, but they're not the same fighter. Felipe is a dog. He continues to pressure forward no matter what comes his way. We saw in Hooper's last fight that if you just stay in his face, you can really put him into some trouble and give him a really hard time. I like Felipe in this fight. I like him a lot. His takedowns are not great, but he does average 2 per fight, and that's because he just sticks with them. He'll just keep doing it, keep coming forward, keep working for those takedowns. He does have some power in his hands. He'll mix it up in his feet. He doesn't have the best striking, though. I like Felipe to win this fight. Literally, I think the difference is just sheer toughness, because Chase Hooper is probably the more talented grappler, but his grappling is all tricky stuff. It's all tricky nonsense, hokey type moves. When we coach wrestling, it's like when you have 8-year-olds using throws. What are you doing? Those are hokey moves. We're not alligator rolling in a tournament at 8 years old. And that's the kind of crap that Chase Hooper does in jiu-jitsu. He's looking for wild leg locks and just nonsense that you shouldn't be looking for in those positions. And he just grappled Renato Moicano in a grappling competition, and Renato just blew through him. And that's the difference between traditional, old school. What do you have? You dropped a penny?
It's a
A
nail.
screw?
No, whoa.
Jesus.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Jesus.
Anyway, Renato Moicano just worked Chase Hooper in a grappling tournament using traditional jiu-jitsu. Chase is slick, but his moves are a little too, he's not going to beat Felipe. Felipe is the pick. What do you think? I know you love Chase Hooper here, so let's hear it.
First of all, Chase Hooper is one of the toughest son of a bitches you'll ever see in your life, because that guy, he's never been put away. He will take shots while he's doing his. You mentioned how the alligator roll. I literally have in my notes listed alligator, because if he gets a hold of your foot at all, he will just start rolling, just looking for something. And he's one of those BJJ guys that loves leg locks, heel hooks. Another one of my favorite guys, Ryan Hall. I swear to God, when Ryan Hall retires, I think Chase Hooper is going up in his place, because he is literally Ryan Hall 2.0. He will try an Eminari roll into leg locks. That's all he is interested in, is trying to find your leg and lock your leg down for a heel hook or whatever. But his striking is improving, and he's only 22 years old, so everything he does is going to improve very, very fast. And the way he uses his striking is literally he'll throw a 1-2, and his 2 is actually pretty good, but he throws that thing so hard that he works through it, and that's how he goes for his takedown. So it's 1-2, he throws his 2 with everything, and he goes down with this 2 to try and get that single leg. So he actually does attempt a single leg takedown. I agree, it's not the greatest thing you've ever seen. It's usually a single with a back trip, and he just tries to fall on you. Ryan Hall does not do any of that, so at least he's a step above Ryan Hall already at 22 years old. He's working with Stephen Thompson in the striking as well. And this fight is probably going to end up on the ground. That's where he wants to be. A lot of times he'll even try and pull guard just to get the fight to the ground. But unfortunately, in this situation, this could be a Melissa Gatto situation where she's on her back looking for submissions, and Chase could be the same way, just on his back the entire fight, trying to chase submissions. We saw that in his last fight. He was basically just trying to chase submissions the entire time. Finally got his back with like 30 seconds to go in the third round, but he couldn't get the finish. I could see this doing the exact same thing, just Chase on his back, looking for submissions, but he's going to find the submission. Come on, he's Chase Hooper. He's 10-2. I cannot pick against my guy. It's a Hail Mary. I wouldn't follow it. It literally is going to be a submission or bust, but the guy is just so slick, and Felipe is so aggressive in his takedowns. I just think there's going to be an opportunity there for Chase, so Felipe is probably the safer play, but I'm going with my man Chase. He finds the submission and gets the win, and he's a candidate for Lock of the Week.
Listen, I completely agree. Submission or bust. That's why the bet, I placed this exact same bet on Chase Hooper last fight too. Wins inside the distance, decision, no action. I did it last time. I'm going to do it again. He's plus 150. And the bet basically says it'll probably be even money. And the bet basically says if Chase Hooper wins inside the distance, submission, somehow a KO, then I'll get paid.
He's got 3 TKOs.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's outstanding.
So 30% of his wins, he is just
Okay. And if he wins by stoppage, I will get paid. If he loses a decision, which is to me the most likely outcome, then I get a refund. Just like Steve Peterson beat him, I got a refund. I got the money back. Bet never happened. I love that bet. I am going to place it on Chase Hooper because he's always live for a submission. And to your point, he is tough. Nobody's questioning his toughness.
Tough as shit. I mean, nobody's tougher than that guy. I'll tell you that.
No, yeah, literally nobody. If you stay in, as Steve Peterson is, if you stay in his face and you can give him a hard time. Who got his back taken
at the very end? Not Chase Hooper. I'll tell you that.
Who lost the fight. Anyway, you're only going to get that bet, the win inside a distance decision, no action, if you go to weontpicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. BetOnline is the one partner that offers that safety net bet. So I love that bet. Listen, DraftKings, are you going to get him at $7,600 for the submission?
Yeah, hell yeah, because also we forgot to mention that Felipe is coming up in weight. He's a 135er. He was a big 135er, so this might actually help him being, as a more natural weight. But Chase is a big dude, man. He's 6'2". Felipe is a 5'9", smaller guy. See those long limbs on the ground. Issues. So yeah, Chase is going to be in my lineup for sure.
Listen,
maybe not. Honestly, maybe. Actually, now I think about it, maybe not. But
well, he definitely listen. It's better for everybody if Chase wins. Like, he's funny, he's popular on social media, got an interesting look, a weird fight style. All of a sudden, he gets some wins. People will love him. So it's better if he wins. And
imagine Chase Hooper versus Ryan Hall. Holy shit!
That would be like let's watch the
like when when 2 people are like just sitting, they both have leg locks, like they're literally both holding each other's ankles. It's just that for 3 rounds, just staring at each other.
Yeah,
and just rolling. That'd be incredible.
All right. Monkey Knife Fight strike line 58-70. I do think this goes to a decision. I don't know. The 70 worries me. I think it goes to a decision. I like the more on Chase Hooper. Yeah. Red hair.
Yeah. Chase Hooper outstruck Steven 102-98 that fight. So he landed 102 strikes.
That's because Steven was working takedowns and he was doing pitter patter. But
we're talking about Monkey Knife Fight.
No,
I'm just saying.
I got you.
Yeah,
I think Chase gets over the 58-70 for Felipe, but it's probably a more because I do think this is a decision, especially if Felipe gets some takedowns, he'll be able to pound away. So,
well, I mean, and this could be, that could be a jump up high too, because Chase Hooper he does get hit. So if Felipe starts hitting Chase, he might say like, screw the takedowns, I'll just keep hitting him.
Yeah. Well, check it out. weontpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. You just say more or less than the strikes, and you can triple your money. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Jonathan Martinez taking on Vince Morales. This is actually a really tricky fight to break down, but Jonathan Martinez is 15-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off 2 decisions in a row. Vince Morales 11-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off a beautiful knockout about 6 months ago. And Jonathan Martinez is a really well-rounded guy. He has nice technical striking, slick BJJ, his Muay Thai striking style with really nice kicks, and he uses those to control range. On the ground, he's very slick, but he can absolutely snatch something up. He does not go to his wrestling very often, but when he does, it really opens up his hands, and he wins those fights by knockout. So if you look at his UFC stats, the fights that he has takedowns in, those are the fights that he's won by KO and TKO, because now people are guessing and they're wondering, is he going to shoot? Is he going to come up top? If he's only striking, that's when he gets dropped. And unfortunately, we have seen him dropped quite a bit. He does have some of his own power, though. He has submissions, and when he works in those takedowns, he gets people guessing. Vince Morales is a decent striker with okay boxing, but he makes up for any of those technical gaps with forward pressure and volume. He's always moving and always working something, and he has legit power in his hands. But he does go to it often, right? He headhunts. He goes to that power often, and he could fizzle out as the fight goes on. He's coming off a great knockout over the ridiculously durable Luis Smolka. And before that, he had a nice win over Draco Rodriguez, where he got his one and only takedown in the UFC. So lots of power in his hands, and we haven't seen much wrestling from him outside of that fight. And the odds makers love Jonathan Martinez here, more than a 2-1 favorite. But it does have me worried. If we look at his last fight against Alejandro Perez, he looked awful. He looked absolutely awful. He basically was only kicking. He only kicked the entire fight. And while he did have success with those kicks, anytime Perez got into the pocket, he won those exchanges, and he even knocked down Jonathan Martinez. And Martinez just seems to crumble under heavy pressure, and Vince Morales can absolutely be a heavy pressure guy. I just think Jonathan Martinez is the better fighter, the more well-rounded fighter, but Vince is stupid tough. He'll come forward no matter what. This is, to me, this is a dead even fight because Jonathan Martinez is the better fighter. Vince Morales is the more dangerous fighter. I do think Jonathan Martinez will win, though, and I think it's literally going to look exactly like that Alejandro Perez fight. I don't think Jonathan Martinez is going to look very good. I think he'll probably get dropped, but he'll be able to survive, put things together, and win the fight. But this is a dangerous fight, and I know I've seen the comments. You guys are obsessed with Vince Morales this week. What do you think, Jake Alutz?
Yeah, well, your official pick was Jonathan Martinez?
It was Jonathan Martinez, but I think this is an even fight.
Yeah, and Jonathan Martinez is one of those guys that he is so he's the Brandon Royval of the 135 division, basically, right? Without the slick jiu-jitsu, to where they're just so talented, it's hard to put them more like less than a 2-1 favorite because they just are so good. Brandon Royval it seems like he's always in trouble, but he's always a big favorite, and then he just pulls out the victories. Jonathan Martinez is kind of the same guy with his striking. We've seen him get dropped before in his last fight. At the end of the round, he got a little sloppy and got dropped, but it just seems he always finds a way to finish those fights. And I agree. I think that if Vince Morales wants to win this fight, he needs to be the aggressor. He needs to get in the pocket in those exchanges, because if you let Jonathan Martinez stay at range, kind of the same thing with Brandon Royval, they're going to destroy you, especially with those kicks, those high kicks, the leg kicks. We've seen Vince be susceptible to the calf kicks in the past. If this is a distance fight and just a kickboxing fight, this is going to be Jonathan Martinez. All the plays going to look fantastic. But Vince Morales, if he gets inside the pocket, you mentioned the wrestling. He was a state champion wrestler at Idaho, I think. He's cousins with Ricky Simone, my guy, Ricky Simone. So if he comes in, closes the gap, gets a few takedowns, Jonathan Martinez could be in big, big trouble. So I understand 100% why people are so high on Vince Morales in this fight, especially because of the odds. The odds are a little bit wide. Definitely worth the flyer at whatever he's at, plus 180, whatever it is. But Jonathan Martinez is the better fighter. He's got crazy kicks. He's a very dynamic striker. He did look bad in his last fight with just, so kick heavy without the hands. I think he comes in, looks like the Jonathan Martinez of old, and really dominates his fight. So my pick is Jonathan Martinez. But if Vince Morales comes in with the pressure, the wrestling, that's his path.
I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised. I thought for sure you were going to pick Vince Morales.
I'm a little but Jonathan Martinez is one of those guys. Brandon Royval, I love Brandon Royval. I love Jonathan Martinez as a striker. So a little bit biased in there, but he should. He's just such a dynamic striker.
Yeah, he's very, very good. Yeah, I'm just surprised. That's all. $8,900 though? No, the value's definitely on Morales in DraftKings because he can smother Jonathan. You mentioned the wrestling. He can smother him. He can take him down, get the ride out. He could put him away. Vince Morales is definitely more valuable at $7,300 in DraftKings than Jonathan Martinez is at $8,900. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Because Jonathan Martinez, he's a very patient fighter, and unfortunately for DraftKings, that doesn't score well.
No, not at all. Although Monkey Knife Fight, it's so funny. Obviously it's math based. We've talked to Chris many times on the show when he does the numbers. He essentially looks at how far the fight is supposed to go and historical strike numbers. So the math is saying that this goes to a decision and that Jonathan Martinez puts up a lot of strikes. 86 seems high to me. I think this is a less more in Monkey Knife Fight. What do you think?
Yeah, Jonathan Martinez honestly is in trouble if he's thrown that many strikes because that means Vince is drawing those strikes out of him. So yeah, it might be a less more, honestly.
Yeah, I love less more for Monkey Knife Fight. Check that out at WeWantPicks.com/MKF. It's daily fantasy. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. Take the free money. Give them 50. They'll give you 50. Take that free 50. Play it on some of these lines. I like the less more here. And if you win, great. You could triple your money. If you lose, who cares? It was theirs to begin with. And if you want $50, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and we send you $50 as a thank you. WeOnPicks.com/bets. And next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Omar Morales taking on Uros Medic. Omar Morales 11-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a submission loss where he was taken down 6 times in 2 rounds. Uros Medic 7-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off the first loss of his career. Omar Morales is a good kickboxer with really nice kicks and solid takedown defense at 63%. But if you remember, his takedown defense was 90% before his last fight. He is very strong. He likes to come forward, but it's interesting because he doesn't charge forward. He just ends all of his combinations with a forward step. So he's constantly plodding forward, working his way forward very methodically. And before you know what's going on, he's walked you down. He's holding center. He has you against the cage. And he does not have a ton of offensive takedowns in the UFC. He only has 3 takedowns total in his entire UFC career. But he has a 100% takedown accuracy. And based off of Uros Medic's last fight, we may see Omar Morales look to grapple. Uros Medic is a striker. He's got legit power and fantastic technique. He comes out fast, but he can also be a little wild. He's absolutely a kill or be killed first-round fighter because he has a 100% finish rate in 8 fights, and he's only seen the second round 1 single time, and it was for less than 1 minute. Coming into his last fight, we just didn't know how Uros Medic would handle adversity, and we do now, and it's not very well. He was taken down easily. He offered absolutely nothing on the ground, and then he was just blasted until he was submitted. But with that being said, he's got speed, power, legit killer instinct, and when he smells blood, he goes for broke. And it's an interesting fight because we have 2 strikers coming off of losses where they were dominated with grappling. Striking-wise, I think Uros is probably the more dangerous striker, potentially even the more technical one, but Omar is definitely the more well-rounded fighter, and he has the ability to mix things up really, really well. I think Omar's physical strength and just a touch of grappling is going to be the difference here. So I like Omar to win a decision, but he definitely needs to survive that first round and worry about the pressure of Uros Medic. But both their last fights were real interesting. They were just absolutely dominated on the ground. And last thing is, I mentioned Omar Morales taken down 6 times in 2 rounds. All that tells me is how well he gets up. So he's tough. He gets up. Obviously, he ended up getting submitted. But what do you think, Jackie Lutz?
Yeah, I see this almost exactly like the last fight we just broke down, the Jonathan Martinez-Vince Morales fight. This is now Omar Morales, where if Omar Morales wants to win this fight, he needs to be the pressure guy. If you let Uros keep the distance, I mean, he's going to pick you apart. He's one of the best kickboxers, maybe in the division. He's just so dynamic and powerful with his striking that you got to close that distance. And as you mentioned, maybe throw in some takedowns because we saw Uros getting taken down by Jailton Turner. I disagree that you say he didn't offer anything on the ground. It looked to me when I watched the fight that he looked like he knew what he was doing. He was trying to get his butterflies. He was trying to get the distance. He was trying to get to a hip. He just was struggling with Jailton Turner's length. Jailton Turner is a huge dude on the ground that, somewhat knows what he's doing down there. It was just able to, every time Uros was able to almost scramble out of position, Jailton was just blanketing him and getting him back into the ground. But you mentioned it 100%. We found out that Uros is a hammer, not a nail. He cannot be a nail. The second you put pressure on him, he starts folding. And as that fight was going on, they talked about how Uros prides himself on the mental aspect of fights. I'm so mentally strong. He was getting hit, and he wanted no part of that fight once he started getting hit. He was, just running away from Jailton Turner, and eventually was dropped on the ground and then was submitted in that fight. So if you're Omar, you got to take that film and you just got to get all over him early. Pressure him, try to get him on the ground early, just fluster him to see if he will break again. If you cannot do that, Uros Medic is going to win this fight. So I'm going to play the Uros side. I'm going to give him one more chance to prove that he can come out and be that aggressive guy that we've seen it time and time and time again. But if he folds again under the pressure, I'm no more Uros at all. So I'm picking the Uros side. He's at such a good gym, too. He's at King's MMA with, he trains with Giga. Giga actually fought Omar and beat Omar, so there's that part. Marvin Vittori, Kevin Gastelum. There's a lot of training partners at that gym. I feel like he's going to be pretty ready for this fight. So underdog roll, eligible for lock of the week. We'll see what happens Wednesday, but my pick is Uros Medic.
Yeah, literally every single person in the live chat except one is saying Uros Medic. Every single one. And I know he's probably the most popular pick this week as far as underdogs are concerned. And I get it. He's a dangerous
so
striker.
dangerous. Yeah, he's just so dangerous.
Man, my throat is just jacked up. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, $8,400 in DraftKings. This is a pick your side because this likely ends by stoppage. I was just pulling up the odds on my other screen here. I have two screens. I'm doing really well in life. The other, I pulled up the odds. The under is -2. Hold on, let me look at it again. The under is minus 160, which is that's pretty solid for an
1.5.
2.5. I don't know why the line is so high at 2.5 when Uros Medic has never been
there.
He's never been that far. But anyway, the under is -160. That's probably a pretty safe bet there. But I don't know. I'm on the Morales side. You guys all love, except one. You all love Uros Medic. $7,800 in DraftKings. Pick your side because this is likely a stoppage for either one of those guys. More or left monkey knife fight strike line. Man, 61-54. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull up their last fights and see how many strikes they got off in those.
You know what the odds are for Omar? Omar has a better inside the distance odds than Uros. Omar's is +145 and Uros is +225. That's kind of surprising, honestly.
Well, he's the favorite. He's almost a 2-1 favorite.
I know, but yeah.
Because their losses, they both lost because of grappling.
Losses.
But dude, my voice is a mess. Their losses were because of grappling, but Uros quit in his. He quit. Where Omar Morales did not. He was getting beat on and working his way up and just doing everything possible. And he was just beaten. Where Uros quit. And I think the bookies do not like that when they see that. So anyway, you and I are split on this fight. We'll see what happens. And if you want 50 free bucks, I'll tell you what happens. You go to weonpicks.com/bets. You sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. You make a deposit, and I send you $50 as a thank you. I paid out 6 people before we went live tonight, which is honestly,
hell yeah,
it's painful. I actually hate paying, but whatever.
5 of those are my accounts.
I'm thankful for the support. weonpicks.com/bets. Listen, well, I'll do it in a second. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Parker Porter taking on Jailton Almeida. Parker Porter, 13-6 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off his 3rd UFC win. He's taking on Jailton Almeida, 15-2 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, with all of his wins being stoppages. Listen, Parker Porter is a personal friend of mine. I've known him we're going on like 17 years or something. I've known him very, very well. We have literally traveled the world together. We went to Turkey together for the XFC. I know him very well. So
I think that's called a partner.
There's probably bias in this breakdown. But you morons in the comment section in my quick picks
video. Listen up, morons. Hey, we're talking to you, morons. Jester.
So I did my quick picks video, and people are commenting, what a break. Oh, Parker, you owe us. Be honest. You owe first of all, Parker is my friend in real life. I owe him. I don't owe anybody else anything. So I'm going to do this breakdown. I'm going to try to not be biased, but the reality is it's hard to put that stuff aside. The guy's my friend. But Parker Porter, he has a nice 3-fight win streak going on in the UFC. He's had a solid run. He's got 3 wins in a row. He literally set the significant strike record for heavyweight and then broke his own record. He debuted on short notice out of camp. He was a few weeks into just having his 3rd kid, literally roll off the couch and fought Chris Daukaus. So that was not a good look, obviously, but you get the call, you take the fight. It's just that simple. Since then, I mentioned he's got 3.
Still waiting for my call.
Okay. Yeah, well, your phone might be on silent. Since then, 3 solid wins in a row. He sets a really tough pace. He has incredible striking volume. He lands more than 7 significant strikes per minute. That is a ridiculous number. Watch our breakdowns. That is a ridiculous number, regardless of weight class, especially for a guy that goes to a decision. Parker's got fantastic footwork, solid power, underrated wrestling, and he took down Alen Badeau in that last fight 2 different times, and he had 6.5 minutes of control time. Jailton Almeida is the real deal. He's a great prospect. He's got powerful hands, incredible grappling. All of his wins are by stoppage, and that's because of his nonstop just forward pressure. He comes in hot. He relentlessly works for those takedowns, and once he's on the ground, he will chase submissions. He'll hit you in those transitions, but he can get a little too excited, a little overzealous, take risks he shouldn't, and he'll end up getting swept or being put into positions that he should not be in. And this is a weird fight. I still don't know why Jailton Almeida is fighting at heavyweight. A couple of you mentioned he was supposed to fight at light heavyweight, then his opponent dropped and Parker stepping up on short notice. But this has been booked for a while. This is not, it may be technically short notice, but this has been booked for over a month. This isn't like just happened this week. So I don't know.
205?
I guess not. But so Jailton Almeida is coming up to heavyweight. And here's the thing. The reality is Parker Porter is not the biggest heavyweight in the division. So it's probably a safe, if you're going to fight a heavyweight physically, it's probably a safe bet, right? He's not the biggest guy in the division. But that is what helps him. That's why he fights well, because he's got solid footwork. He's got really good speed. But again, he's not physically massive, but what is massive is freaking hips, his legs. He has very good takedown defense. He is a hard guy to get to the ground. And Jailton Almeida, again, I'm stupid biased in this fight, but Jailton Almeida is going to come charging forward, throw crazy, and then look for takedowns. And I think he's going to struggle with those takedowns. Parker Porter, we've seen that he's tough. We've seen he's got crazy volume. I know for a fact he's hard to take down. I think Parker Porter can pull this off. I like Parker Porter to win the fight. He's my friend. I am going to put money where my mouth is. Literally, as you were talking during the last fight, I bet the over on the round line. It's 1.5. I'm betting the over on that. And I'm going to put a little money line on Parker Porter. These odds are stupid. Plus 450. He is a heavyweight on a 3-fight win streak, fighting a guy with one single fight in the UFC, and it was a win over a guy who's been cut. Like, let's be real. The odds are a little ridiculous. Jacob, be respectful. I'll smack you in the mouth. What's your break?
Yeah, I was going to say, let me preface this by saying I am not Parker Porter's friend, so what I say is going to be the truth in this fight. But, there's part of me that sees what you're talking about, because Almeida is a guy, a light heavyweight guy that shoots blast doubles and picks people up and slams them down, and everything is just so explosive and strong, and he's stronger than everyone he fights, and obviously he's going to be stronger than Parker Porter. But from my experience, trying to blast double someone at 205 pounds is a lot different than trying to a 250 guy. Right? I mean, that's a 45-pound difference. That's a plate. That's an iron plate. And I lift 3 of those on each side when I bench. I know how heavy they are. So there's a big difference, shooting takedowns on light heavyweights compared to heavyweights. With that said, I'm going to say something real stupid here, but this fight is going to go exactly how we think it's going to go, with Almeida getting a takedown and just beating in the brains of Parker Porter, which everyone thinks is going to happen. Or this is going to be a real oh shit moment for Almeida, because he's going to struggle with the takedowns. Everything is going to be, he's going to try to get those takedowns. It's going to be explosive. He's going to put everything he has into getting those takedowns early. And if all of a sudden, Parker is stuffing those takedowns, this guy is a first round, second round guy. I think he's only been in the third round once in his career with a decision. If this starts getting into the second round, and those takedowns and that muscle, or the blood starts filling up with, those muscles start filling up with blood, this guy, we've never seen what happens when he gets late in the second round, third round against real top-level competition in the UFC. So with that said, my pick is going to be Almeida. I think he gets done what he thinks he should be able to get done. But if Parker Porter survives the first, all of a sudden we're getting middle of the second round, and Parker Porter is still there, and those takedowns are harder and harder to get, and this guy is starting to breathe heavy. I'm not saying Parker Porter can win the fight, because maybe he's got the first 2 rounds already banked, and I don't think Parker Porter's going to finish this guy. But this could be an interesting situation for Almeida, and it could be a great thing, a good learning experience for him to get that tough level competition. But my pick is Almeida. But I agree with you. These odds are a little bit crazy. I understand. But if this starts seeing second, third round, see what happens.
And James D in the comment section said, what's the weight of these two? So I would estimate Parker will be 250s, 260, something like that, mid 250s, 260. Jailton Almeida is probably going to be 220, 230, something to that effect. But again, Parker's built very different. He's got massive legs. He kicks like an animal. If you watch the interview,
he is the Norma Dumont of the heavyweight division. I mean,
he's got
that
some
thing is
junk in the
caked
trunk.
up. That thing's caked up. Cherry on top. Got the whipped cream.
He's got
Banana
junk in the
split
trunk.
me, Parker. Banana split me, Parker.
Okay, settle down. That Chris Daukaus fight, he landed one single leg kick. Chris Daukaus' leg was a mess, completely red. And if you watch the end of the fight, they're talking to each other. I did an interview with Parker. Him and I were hanging out, and we've recorded it. He mentioned that Chris Daukaus was like. I forget exactly what the words were. It was something about how Parker just blasted his leg. So either way, I'm biased. Jacob's not. You guys do what you want, but I am going to put my money where my mouth is. He's my friend, and what kind of friend would I be if I came on here spewing the nonsense? Like, that's what I didn't understand about the comments.
You should have made him your lock if you. Because me and Amanda Hebos
I don't have.
are good
no
friends.
gimmicks. No gimmicks. But that's what I didn't understand about the comment section. Angelo, okay. You filmed.
I'll be honest with you. If you were fighting Almeida, I would pick the fuck out of Almeida. I know we're friends, Angelo, but there is no way in hell I'm picking you versus that guy. So friendship, friendship only goes so far. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, anyway, $6,800 in DraftKings. I'll give it a go. I'm a ride or die. I mentioned I'm going to put a money line bet. Are you going to do $9,400 for Jailton Almeida? Most expensive guy in the card?
Hey, Parker, I love you, man. You seem like a great guy. We love that video that you sent for Angelo about people not paying their bets. That was incredible. But, yeah, I'm putting Almeida in my lineup.
All right, whatever. 38 to 59. I got to go the more. Parker Porter literally has the first and second all-time significant strike record in the UFC at heavyweight. Spot 1 and spot 2. So I got to go over 38 strikes. I have to. And then 59 for Jailton. That's a very high number. I'm surprised. But I'm going to do the more. I think this goes a little bit.
God bless you, man.
Anyway, if you guys want to put some money, you want to bet against me, go for it. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Joseph Holmes taking on Alen Amedovski. Joseph Holmes is 7-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a loss in a short notice UFC debut. Alen Amedovski is 8-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, riding a 2-fight loss streak and a 3-year layoff. Joseph Holmes, he's coming off that short notice loss to Jamie Pickett in his official UFC debut, but he did have some success in that fight and ultimately lost because he gave up 2 takedowns. He's a massive 6'4" with an 80-inch reach, but he tends to stand upright, and he doesn't really use that reach as well with his striking as he does with his grappling. Holmes can be low volume at times, but when he does engage, he likes to stick and move until he can wrap you up and work a takedown on the ground. He's a solid brown belt, and he controls really, really well. Alen Amedovski was undefeated coming into the UFC, but he lost his first 2 fights, and now he's been on the shelf for 3 full years. And Alan's a powerful striker who chases knockouts. He does have holes in his grappling game that have been exploited in the past, but we've yet to see any grappling or wrestling whatsoever from him in the UFC. And Joseph Holmes is my pick here. I like him in this fight. I love his size. I love his versatility. He can strike and he can grapple. He had 2 takedowns on the Contender Series. And when he threatens to grapple, it really opens up his hands. And we talk about that a lot on this show. I wish he had more volume, but I still trust him to win. My only concern here is a 3-year layoff. Those can go either direction, right? Alen Amedovski could come out and it could be like, why are you still fighting? That you look awful. Or he can come out and he used those 3 years to make improvements, plug holes, rededicate himself and do all that. So 3 years is always a big question mark. But with that being said, Holmes is the pick. I'm probably not going to bet anything on this fight. Jackie boy, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a interesting fight to say the least, because Joseph Holmes, dangerous on the ground, but on the feet he leaves something to be desired. He was getting some good strikes off against Pickett, but as you mentioned, kind of a little bit stiff, chin up a little bit, hands low, and against a guy that we have no idea how he's going to show up. Holmes is going to be the play in this matchup. Because of the layoff, we don't know, but I would stay away from Holmes and basically everything, except maybe like some submission plays. I know some people were talking about Joseph Holmes by submission bet. We saw I was trying to look at tape for Alen. Back the last fight only lasted 17 seconds. Then I look, Christoph Jotko, a 3-round decision. That must have been a good back and forth battle. I'm interested to see the striking in this. Do you know what the striking numbers were for that fight?
No, what?
111 for Jotko to 6 for Alen. In a 3-round decision, he had 6. He was like I was like scanning through that. He was in a crucifix, just getting beat on. The holes in his ground game are so wide from what we've seen from 3 years ago that Joseph should be able to get this fight to the ground and just do whatever he wants on the ground. But if this was on the stand-up, I have no idea what kind of Alen is going to show up. And maybe in those 3 years, he worked on his takedown defense. Maybe all of a sudden he got a black belt and something crazy happens. I would stay away from this fight completely. If you had to pick, obviously Holmes is going to be the play because he's been fighting and he actually looks like he knows what the hell he's doing in there, unlike Alen in his last couple fights. So the pick is Holmes, but I'm staying away from this completely. Too many question marks.
Yeah, I think we're pretty aligned here, but $8,800, that's a lot to spend. I actually may end up spending it, but that is a lot to spend because reality is Joseph Holmes also has no wins in the UFC. Neither one of these guys have a win in the UFC. I guess Holmes has Contender Series, but still. You agree?
Someone just said that Alen has been training with Hamzat, so so I'm definitely picking Alen, and I don't know if that's true, but if he has, then it's a good person to train with. You saw how good Darren Till's about to be the champ.
Exactly.
And he's been with Hamzat for 3 months.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, are you going to throw Holmes in your DraftKings lineup or you're avoiding this entirely?
Nah, I'm going to stay away from this completely.
Okay. And then Alen Amedovski, 26 strikes. And it's funny because it's got to be, it's so low, but it's got to be because he only landed 6 in his last fight.
Well, in his last 2 fights. The last fight lasted 17 seconds and a 3-round decision. He literally landed 6 strikes. So, yeah, this is such a question mark. If I had to say anything, I'd probably play more, I guess. But, it's just throwing darts.
Yeah, I agree. It is throwing darts, especially because Joseph Holmes is such low volume as well. So, I'm not touching Monkey Knife Fight, but check it out. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want 50 free bucks that you can use at Monkey Knife Fight or anything else you want, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, let us know after you do, and we send you. Thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Eryk Anders taking on Jun-Young Park. Eryk Anders is 14-6 overall, 2-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off a submission loss to Andre Muniz. Jun-Young Park is 13-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a KO to Gregory Rodriguez. And Eryk Anders is a wrestler with pretty good striking. He mixes his punches and kicks really well together, and he has okay speed. He does keep his hands too low, which has gotten him trouble in the past. His path to victory in I Mike Tyson that sentence.
Whoa, let's not disrespect. Hey, Mike, that wasn't me. I'm not disrespecting you, Mike. That's it's this guy. Jesus, man, you're gonna disrespect Mike like that? What's Mike ever done?
Well, his path to victory in most fights is his wrestling. And I'm saying wrestling and not grappling because it isn't grappling. It's just wrestling. He gets the takedowns. He doesn't really look for submissions. He just looks to pound on you from there. And he does that really well. And what he does specifically really well is as people look to stand up, he completely disengages and he just starts throwing heavy. So if he's got you against the cage, you're scrambling back up to your feet, he will take 2 steps back and then just start blasting you as you're like out of sorts trying to stand up. And he does that really well, and he's done that in the past. Jun-Young Park is he's a pretty well-rounded fighter. He has a very nice jab, good cage control, solid setups and takedowns. He's pretty good everywhere but dangerous nowhere, meaning He doesn't have the power to KO anybody. He doesn't have the submissions to submit anybody, and he can't really get people out of fights. But he has grinded out solid wins over people like Tefon Chukwi and Marc-Andre Barol. He has solid striking differential, around 5-4, and he averages almost 3 takedowns per fight. And he's got enough cardio to maintain that pace for 3 full rounds, which he needs because he's not getting anybody out of there in under 3 rounds. And the odds surprised me here because Park is more than a 2-1 favorite. I thought for sure when I was doing this breakdown that Anders would be the favorite. I like Anders in this fight. I think his toughness, his power, his wrestling will be the difference. Park is definitely the better overall fighter. But like I said before, he's just not dangerous. He doesn't have the striking to knock out Anders. His BJJ isn't good enough to submit him. And the only path for Park is if he's able to get his wrestling going and just ride out a decision on top. So I just don't see that. He can do it. He doesn't really have normal takedowns. He relies on trips and pressure. I don't think it's going to work, so I'm going Anders. I like Anders to win. The bet that I will probably place, though, is a plus 3.5 bet. So Angela Hill let me down last week with that bet, but all I need Eryk Anders to do is win 1 round. That's it. If he can win 1 round, I buy 3.5 points on the judges' scorecards, and I'll win my bet. That's it. If he wins the fight outright, great. I'll still get paid. But if he wins 1 round and loses a decision, I still get paid. WeOnPicks.com/bets. You sign up. It's Bet Online that has that bet. Make a deposit. I send you 50 schmackarootses. Jakey boy, what do you think?
Yeah, literally everything you said is 100% correct. And I'll be honest with you, I have not picked my lock of the week this week, but I am leaning towards Eryk Anders because of the fact you mentioned with Park, there's just no I don't see the danger in Park. And when I'm picking lock of the week, one of the first things I look at is the opponent dangerous? If the opponent is dangerous, I don't want that type of fight because obviously they can finish a fight. That's why I picked against Ketlen, not dangerous. I picked against Tracy Cortez, not dangerous. Those people are not dangerous. When I look at Park, I see the same type of thing. Well-rounded. You mentioned the jab, and fantastic jab, and he will just jab, 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 and then try to throw bombs off those jabs, and then try to work for takedowns. But as good as his offensive wrestling is, which is it's good, it's not great, it's not dominant, but it's good. As good as offensive wrestling is, we've seen him have issues on the back. Against Gregory, he had issues. Gregory is a different level, grappler with his jiu-jitsu and stuff, but we've seen him on his back and struggle to get up, and if Eryk Anders is able to get those takedowns, I can see him controlling the fight in the same way that we've seen Park get controlled in the past. So the second thing I look at for lock of the week is, does my person, the underdog, have a clear advantage somewhere, right? So I'm looking for someone, they're fighting somebody not dangerous, and do they have a clear advantage somewhere? And for this, in this fight, I think the clear power advantage is with Anders. If he lands a solid strike, it's going to be issues. That Darren Stewart fight, the first one before the no contest, he was beating the brakes off of Darren Stewart. The power was there. You don't see Park doing that to people. So I like Eryk Anders in the wrestling. I like his power advantage. I don't like the speed. You mentioned he's not the fastest guy in the world, and I think he's going to have some issues with Park's jab. Jab, 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 but I don't see the dangers in Park. I understand that he could ride this out to a decision win. I'm taking Eryk Anders in the fight. I'm with you 100%. I think these odds are wide. I think Anders has a power advantage. I think he can use his offensive wrestling to control this fight if he wants to. I'm going Eryk Anders, and he might end up being lock of the week. We're going to find out Wednesday. There's a few other people I like. Chase. I really feel Chase, but Parker Porter. But Eryk Anders, I'm going Eryk Anders' fight.
Yeah, so we're both aligned on the underdog here. I'm going to do that safety net 3.5 bet. DraftKings, I might do it. We'll see what my lineup ends up looking like, but $7,200. Listen, Jun Park was just knocked out. He was just knocked out. Eryk Anders has that power. So it's not ridiculous that Park is going to get knocked out 2 fights in a row.
Yeah,
so,
and Park will brawl. I mean, he uses that jab, but against Gregory, you saw when he starts going, he will start to brawl, and Anders is going to have the advantage in those exchanges.
Yeah, so I may have him in my lineup at $7,200. There's definitely upside there because if there's a finish, it's on the Anders side. Jun Park could rack up some solid DraftKings points with takedowns, control time, and maybe he's coming off a knockout, so he's going to come in and fight super conservative and just try to hold him against the cage, take him down immediately. I don't know, but Eryk Anders is definitely the pick. Monkey Knife Fight strike line, 58 to 84. 84 seems high to me. 84 seems very high. I think this is a less or a more less. 84 seems very high to me.
I mean, he really pumps that jab out there, and this is probably going to go all 3 rounds. And if he's pumping that jab, it just depends on if Andrew's able to get the takedowns, honestly.
Well, both of these guys have high takedown averages, 2 to 3. So, there should be takedowns in this fight is what, historically both of their fights tell you. So my monkey knife fight play is more less. Check it out. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. You sign up, you make a deposit. They instantly match that deposit up to $100. Take their free money, play some of these lines, and you can win some money. And if you want 50 free bucks, you could take the 50. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have Polyana Viana taking on Tabatha Ricci, and I mentioned it in Quick Picks. This fight is a dream for Jacob. So I don't know where he's going to be when he watches this fight, but I don't want to be anywhere near him. Polyana Viana, 12-4 overall, 2-3 in her last 5 with all submission wins. Tabatha Ricci, 6-1 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, coming off her first UFC win. And Polyana Viana is a grappler with okay hands, but a very dangerous ground game. She has 3 wins in the UFC, and all 3 are by submission. But she is absolutely finish or bust. She's either winning by submission or losing a decision. She sets a hard pace, but does struggle with the takedowns. What is happening right now? You relaxed? You
What's
got
that?
You got some pressure off your shoulders?
I need a cigarette.
Yeah, I bet you do. She sets a hard pace, but she does struggle with the takedowns. She has only a 33% takedown accuracy, and she basically relies on her opponents to get the fights to the ground. Tabatha Ricci is a very good grappler who's always looking for a submission, but doesn't sacrifice the position for the chase. She's very heavy on top with good pressure and control. She will ground and pound while on top, and then that creates scrambles that opens up her opponents, and then that's when she'll jump in for the submission. She made her UFC debut against Manafaro on short notice, which is already a rough go, and that was at 125 pounds instead of 115, which only makes that problem even worse. She bounced back after that with a really nice win over Maria Oliveira, where she had 5 takedowns, and I expected Viana to be the favorite here because of the UFC experience. So I was surprised when the odds makers were all over Ricci, and so am I. I think Ricci just the solid forward pressure. She gets takedowns whenever she wants them. I trust her to wrestle like crazy and just cruise to a decision win. So Tabatha Ricci is definitely the pick here.
Is it my turn?
It sure is.
All right. Yeah, so I'm let me preface this by saying I am a little biased for Polyana Viana. That is my absolute girl. And when I first saw this fight and I was told she was an underdog, I thought, lock of the week. That's a very, very easy lock of the week. Because to me, Polyana Viana is Melissa Gatto, but a better version of Melissa Gatto. She's better in the striking. She's one of those shoot the box strikers. So she actually is a very powerful striker. It's not the best footwork. It's not the most technical striking, but when she lands, she can flatline girls. She has that type of power in her striking. And in her jiu-jitsu, she also will throw strikes off her back, which I love. She's looking for elbows, where Melissa Gatto is just looking for sweeps and is a little bit more clean in her jiu-jitsu. Polyana Viana will get nasty. Elbows from the bottom. If she gets you in a triangle, she's not just looking for an armbar. She's looking to split you open. Very, very nasty. In this matchup, if you're Polyana Viana, you got to keep this on the feet, man. And it's going to be tough because Ricci is just a little Tasmanian devil. Moving forward, is always going to be pushing, throwing bombs, looking for takedowns. So she's got pretty good takedowns in her own right, especially for someone that's like a jiu-jitsu person. Actually has pretty good takedowns. But if you're Polyana Viana, do not go to the ground with her because you're probably going to end up on your back. And I know you're very good, but we saw, I keep referencing the Melissa Gatto, Tracy Cortez fight, but this could be the exact same situation. On her back, looking for submissions against somebody that is very, very well-versed in jiu-jitsu. I don't think she's going, everyone is Polyana submission, Viana submission. I don't think she's going to submit Ricci. I just don't see it. Ricci is too good in jiu-jitsu, has too much control on the top position, which is she probably is going to have. If Polyana Viana ends up on top, it's a different game, right? But Ricci is going to be the aggressor. She's going to end up in top position. She should win this fight. I will say, though, she has 6 wins, right? Yeah, 5 of those wins are against girls with a combined 5-20 record. So her competition before getting to the UFC was not great. So I saw Polyana as an underdog. I started looking at who Ricci has been fighting and thought, oh my God, there's no way. But when you watch tape on her, she belongs in the UFC when you watch tape on her. So I understand why everyone's going to be high on Polyana Viana. I am going to pick Polyana Viana because just like Melissa Gatto, I think that she could just kind of find a way. But if you guys are picking her just because she has the experience and you think that she is the jiu-jitsu person, you better be very, very careful. I'm picking Viana. She might have to end up being the lock of the week. We'll see what happens, but be very, very careful putting her in parlays and all this stuff because she'd just be on her back looking for submissions for 3 rounds and lose a decision.
Yeah, I think Ricci just. I agree. You said she's got to keep it standing to win the fight, probably, but I don't know how. Right? Tabatha Ricci's just going to come charging forward and making stuff happen. And people in the comments were talking about how Tabatha Ricci's training with Mackenzie Dern, so the odds of her getting submitted are.
Oh my God! So my pick is actually Tabatha Ricci. This is tough.
Did I say Viana? I meant yeah. So, no, I'm all over Tabatha Ricci here. I really like her. I'll probably throw a moneyline bet at her, a -130. I think those are pretty fair odds for somebody that I can trust to do what she's supposed to do in a fight. I'm actually going to do that or take the note to do it right now. Moneyline.
And I will say, Polyana Viana, she has been hanging out with, she is the shoot the box, and she's hanging out with Oliveira, and they've been having some crazy success. I don't know the last time somebody from their camp actually lost a fight. It's been crazy. Ever since Oliveira became the champ, it's like everyone from that camp is winning. So that does play a part.
Yeah, camps are streaky. $7,900 to $8,300 in DraftKings. Pick your side. I see you guys seem split down the middle in the live chat talking about Polyana is going to submit Ricci or no way Ricci's going to get submitted. So pick your side. It's a fair price for both of them. Ricci could score 1,000,000 points with a bunch of takedowns. Viana's always live for a submission. That's literally how she wins every single fight. And the Monkey Knife Fight strike line, 65 to 88, it's probably more because
Polyana has 4 knockouts. She knocked out Amanda Hebos, and we saw this weekend nobody knocks out Amanda Hebos.
I think it's more because Polyana probably have some decent volume, and Tabatha Ricci will get the takedowns and get past the 88 with her volume. So I like the more Monkey Knife Fight. What do you think about that line? Stop doing a stupid dolphin thing.
What? It's Baby Shark.
Oh, whatever.
And that's her nickname, I think. Baby Shark.
I have no idea.
What'd you ask?
Monkey Knife Fight strike line.
It's probably a more.
Yeah, I agree. Check that out. WeOwnPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. Use their free money. And if you want 50 free bucks, there's some more free money. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, let us know, and we send you 50 bucks, however you want it. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Next up, at UFC Vegas 55, we have Chidi Njokuani taking on Dusko Todorovic. Chidi Njokuani is 21-7 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off 3 stoppages in a row. Dusko Todorovic, 11-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a bounce-back win over Maki Pitolo. Chidi Njokuani is a very good striker with speed, power, and solid distance control. He's not a high-volume guy, but he sticks and moves really well. His feet are never in the same place for very long, and people have a really hard time getting to him. If you're able to get inside the reach and work your way to his legs, you can have some success with takedowns in grappling, but I cannot stress enough how powerful he really is and how hard this guy hits. And Dusko Todorovic is a pretty well-rounded guy. He's a technical striker with power, and he has takedowns with solid BJJ offense to just sort of round him out. His last fight against Maki Pitolo was a perfect showcase. Dusko, of his well-roundedness, he doubled Maki's strikes, got a takedown, and then ultimately finished him. He's a high-volume guy with almost 6 significant strikes per minute, but there are definitely questions about his chin, which will be answered in this fight. Both of these guys are well-rounded, but Dusko definitely goes to his wrestling and his grappling more often than Chidi does. And in fact, we've literally never seen Chidi work a takedown in the UFC but we have just seen him defend a bunch, and he's got a solid 78% takedown defense. Insane power in his hands. I really like him in this fight. So Chidi is the pick for me, and an inside the distance bet is probably the bet to make because Dusko's got a questionable chin. Chidi hits like a truck. I think it's just literally that simple. What do you think, Jackie boy?
Yeah, so I'll make a comparison here and tell me this isn't just 100% spot on. Dusko he's Jordan Wright. He's the Beverly Hills Ninja. I mean, the guy is kill or be killed, gets hit. I mean, we've seen Jordan Wright get hit a ton. And Jordan Wright, he has like kind of the wrestling that he can go to, but he doesn't always go to it, and he gets knocked out because of it. Dusko's the same way. He's got wrestling that he can go to, but he just would rather try and stand and bang, and we've seen him get in trouble with it before in the past. The guy gets hit, and against Chidi, that's the last thing you want somebody describing your fight style as somebody that gets hit, because if Chidi hits you, you're going to sleep, and you might not ever wake up. So Dusko, if he wants to win this fight, it's wrestling. But at the same time, I think it was against Patoli. The first shot that he shot, he almost got caught in a guillotine. And that's kind of why Patoli lost that fight, because he pulled guillotine and then ended up on his back. He nearly got it. I mean, that thing was tight, but he lost the fight because he was on his back. If you're Chidi, no jiu-jitsu. Don't play that stupid don't play that stupid, try to get a guillotine stuff, end up on your back, and now you're in big trouble. Stuff the head, defend the takedown, get out of there, stay at range, and do what you do. You're going to be able to hit Dusko. Just, stay away from the takedowns. Don't play that jiu-jitsu game. Hit him with the 1s, 2s. You're going to have no issue. I'm going with Chidi all the way.
It's Chidi. You're saying Chidi, like Chidi Bang.
Well, his nickname is that's literally his nickname, is Chidi Bang Bang.
Well, it's Chidi though.
Well, I mean that's his nickname, so don't talk to me. I didn't give him that nickname.
Yeah, but it's Chidi.
But his nickname is Chidi Bang Bang, which literally is Chidi Bang Bang is one of the scariest movies ever made. That movie traumatized me as a kid. I think last time we had this conversation, you never.
Yeah,
seen
we
it.
did. And I still haven't.
The guy that's like dangling candy in front of the kids and stuff. That's the most terrifying guy I've ever seen in my life.
I've seen you offer children candy. Well, it's a very influential movie. $8,700 in DraftKings. He's probably worth it because I personally think there's a stoppage here, and he could probably score over 100. I'm definitely getting sick. I'm definitely getting sick. I'm sick of your bullshit. Holy water.
Also, I streamed it. Just streamed it.
The Monkey Knife Fight strike line, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it because Chidi's a low volume guy, has insane power. It's probably less, but I'm not going to touch the Monkey Knife Fight strike line. What do you think?
If you're not touching it, I'm not touching it.
Okay. I thought we just broke down a fight where you touched it. Anyway, if you feel strongly about this, go to weonpicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They will instantly match that deposit. And if you want $50 for free, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, $50. All you need to do is go to weonpicks.com/bets and sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners and make a deposit. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Michel Pereira. Santiago Ponzinibbio, 28-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off a disappointing loss to Jeff Neal, where Jeff Neal basically got a DUI 2 weeks before. Michel Pereira is 27-11 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's riding a nice little 4-fight win streak. Jesus Christ. Santiago Ponzinibbio is a very good striker who likes to stay out of the pocket. He does not mix in kicks as well as Pereira does, but he has a very clean striking game and perfect range control. He keeps people at the end of his punches, and he's one of the few people who uses range and reach really well. He doesn't have a ton of raw power, but he has great volume, and he works TKOs from there because of that volume and because of his pressure. Michel Pereira is a capoeira fighter with flashy kicks, spins, punches, but he seems to be maturing and tightening all of that up. And I'm actually shocked every time I see the stats. The dude is only 28 years old. But if you've been following his career, you can definitely see he's maturing as a fighter. He's unbelievably talented, still has a touch of the crazy, but it doesn't define him anymore. And he seems to have taken care of any cardio issues he had. And he's got 3 decision wins in a row. He's a solid grappler, tons of power, great speed. And it's a really tough fight to call because Ponzinibbio is a very talented guy with solid range control. But I think Pereira is just a little better everywhere. He has more power in his strikes, more versatility in his striking technique, a 100% takedown defense. And he finally now at this point in his career has the cardio to keep up with people for 15 minutes. So Ponzinibbio is going to have the better range control, but I don't think it's going to matter here. I like Pereira to win his 4th decision in a row. What do you think, Jacobu?
Yeah, one of these guys has lost 2 of the last 3 fights, and one of these guys doesn't really have like a real loss since like 2018, and that was Michel Pereira versus, actually it was against Dusko, surprisingly enough, because that Diego Sanchez, it was a legal knee, and then the Tristan Conley was a fight where he was dominating the fight, and then he was trying to show off and didn't really take, you could tell he didn't really take it seriously, and just kind of gassed himself. He's cleaned those issues up, and I talk about Michel Pereira all the time, and when I compare fighters that are a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, Yang Kutalaba, last fight card, some of these guys just cannot reel it in. But Michel Pereira has reeled it in, and his grappling is something that people don't understand. They understand, they see the capoeira and the wild kicks and the backflips, but when this guy wants to buckle down and shoot takedowns, he is so good at getting people to the ground and controlling them on the ground. I think that the path to victory for him in this matchup, if he wants to play around with the striking, that's fine. But let's just grind out this victory. This is a big spot for you, Michel Pereira. You're 4 fights in a row. You're up in rankings. The UFC it's one of those guys that the UFC would love to push. They would love to give him the big fights because he is so much fun to watch. That I'm surprised that the odds are this close. In this matchup, Michel is just so well rounded and also is very dynamic in the striking. I see this as like a 2-1 favorite for Michel. I'll probably place a moneyline bet on Michel in this fight. I think he's just better everywhere, and he's just on such a good streak, and he's only 28. It's so crazy to think that this guy is only 28 years old. It's unreal. The sky is the limit for him. He is so talented. I hope that he gets to win. Nothing against Santiago, nothing against Santiago, but for the division, for the UFC, for everything, I hope Michel gets a highlight fight in this matchup, and I think he has the potential to do that either on the ground or on the feet. So I'm going Michel Pereira all the way.
Yeah, we're aligned here. I agree. I'm surprised he's not a bigger favorite. I will probably do a moneyline bet as well, but Ponzinibbio is very, very good. Like I like him a lot, and if it was a different opponent, I'd be all over it. But he looked like trash in that Jeff Neal fight, and I trashed Jeff Neal going into that fight because he literally had a DUI like a week earlier, a DUI. So not only was he drinking,
it was a glass of wine.
It doesn't matter. It was not only was he drinking that far into a camp, he was drinking enough to blow over the legal limit. It was ridiculous. And Ponzinibbio lost to that guy under those circumstances. So either way, I like Michel Pereira as well. He's definitely the more talented guy, but Ponzinibbio may be the more technical guy and might be able to pull that off. If you look at the live chat, then Ponzinibbio for sure is the giant favorite here. Everybody in the live chat is all over Ponzinibbio, which I'm very surprised.
Wasn't Candace in Jeff Neal's car, his girlfriend?
I don't know. No, you're not going to get me again. Oh, who's Candace? Here we go, idiot. You got me that in a text message. It's not going to happen again in real life. Anyway,
I doubled down.
8,000 to 8,200. I'm going to go 8,200 on Michel Pereira. He may not score that well though. He doesn't always score well, but.
Takedowns. I think the takedowns will be there.
It's basically even money. So I'm probably going to have Pereira in my lineup. 71 to 94. That is tricky because Ponzinibbio does manage range well, and he may be hard to hit for a little while until Michel starts taking some risks and coming forward. What do you think of that Monkey Knife Fight strike line?
It's probably a less. I honestly think that Michel grapples. He's such a good grappler, man.
Yeah, I agree. It probably is a less. And if you want to take a stab at that, go to wewantpicks.com/MKF, sign up, make a deposit. They will instantly match that deposit. Use their free money to play some of these strike lines. And if you want $50 free for free from us, $50. The only string is you go to wewantpicks.com/bets. You sign up with any one of the online betting partners. You make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 55, we have the main event of the evening. We have Holly Holm taking on Ketlen Vieira. Holly Holm is 14-5 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, coming back after a year-long layoff. Ketlen Vieira, 12-2 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, alternating wins and losses. And Holly Holm's coming back after more than a year and a half away from the cage. But my read on her is going to be the same as if she was active, because she's pretty inactive fighter in general. So this year away is not that crazy for her in her career. She's an insanely talented boxer who has a ton of patience and has beaten the best in the world. She is 40 years old at this point, but I don't think age matters with her style, because the first thing that goes is your chin. And Holly Holm does not rely on her chin. She sticks and moves really well. She's a technical striker who plays the outside, jumps in, jumps out, and she does a really, really good job at that. She has an incredible striking differential in 12 UFC fights. Age would matter if she relied on her chin or got hit often, but it just doesn't. It doesn't matter for her. She sticks and moves well. She turns MMA fights into kickboxing matches with her 76% takedown defense. Ketlen Vieira is powerful. She's a come-forward striker. She's got solid takedowns and top work. She just marches forward, throws heavy, looks to tie you up, and then just sort of trips and Uchimata takedowns from there. On top, she keeps control. She pressures really well, and she pounds away. She's not very fast. She's not very athletic, but she's super big, really strong, and fundamentally sound to tie that out. And Holly Holmes, a former bantamweight champion of the world, she actually lost her title to Miesha Tate. I was all over Ketlen Vieira to beat Miesha Tate in that fight, and she did. But Holly Holm is not Miesha Tate. When Miesha Tate beat her, she basically caught her in a lucky submission, and it was the 5th round, the 4th round, something like that, in a fight that Holly Holm was definitely winning. And I think Holly does exactly what she does in every other fight. She stays on the outside. She picks her shots. She'll defend takedowns. And just, it's a pretty straightforward decision for me. So Ketlen is big. She can look to use her size, bully Holly Holm to the cage, take her down. I just don't see it happening. For the most part, the way you beat Holly Holm is to outstrike her. If you're a superior striker, you can beat Holly Holm because that's her game. That's how Shevchenko beat her. Jermaine Durandamy, who people hate, but Jermaine Durandamy was a world champion striker. She beat her. And then Chris Cyborg beat her as well. Ketlen's pressure is solid, but she has a negative striking differential. I think her charging forward is only going to play into Holly's counter striker and her circling. So Holly Holm is the pick. A year and a half in the way from the cage does have me worried. If I do end up doing anything, I might do buy a round and a half, buy a 2-round bet on Ketlen Vieira, because maybe she could take a round or two if she gets a takedown, hangs out on top. But I just don't know if I'm going to do that. So Holly Holm is the pick, and I'm pretty confident here. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Ketlen, national champion wrestler in Brazil, judo black belt, jiu-jitsu black belt, also black belt in what's the other one? Is it Ligma?
You're not going to get me.
Anyway, yeah. So this is how I see the fight. Holly Holmes without the S. Holly Holm is 40 years old. I caught myself. Actually, I thought you said it, and I was gonna say something about you, but then I ended up saying it. So Holly Holm, 40 years old. At some point, you are going to start to look old. You cannot just keep fighting and at the high level.
Tell that to Clay Guida.
Excuse me, sir. We've seen that with the same type of striker in Stephen Thompson. We saw Stephen Thompson. He's starting to slow down. We thought he was going to run through Gilbert Burns. All of a sudden, Gilbert Burns taking him down. We thought that he was going to outstrike, but all of a sudden, Belal's taking him down. This seems like it's the same type of path. Excuse me. This seems like the same type of path where an older karate-style fighter, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but we saw the exact same thing with Stephen Thompson. At some point, that style gets a little bit slower. Those in and outs are a little bit slower. The takedowns are a little bit harder to defend because you are getting older. Your body, that's just the reality of the situation. Is it going to happen this fight? I think it might. I understand why Holly Holm is the pick for a lot of people. I understand why she's the favorite. She can dance around. She can karate. She can keep people at distance. And we've seen her against
karate. She was a professional kickboxer. But
I'm just talking about the karate distance, the way she fights. She's very good at keeping the distance with her kicks, the front kicks, all sorts of stuff like that. So I understand why she's the favorite in this matchup, but at some point, someone is going to come along and beat her. She's not going to keep going, and it seems like Ketlen can close that distance and might be able to get her to the ground. If she starts getting her to the ground, this fight changes very, very quickly. She's got to get the takedown. She's not going to outstrike Holly Holm. Hardly anyone is going to outstrike Holly Holm. I would love to see Holly Holm fight Ketlen Chidi and just take her head off, honestly. But I think Ketlen this is her moment to show how good she is in the wrestling, in the grappling. She's got a little bit of power behind those hands too. Maybe it's one of those situations where she maybe stuns Holly to get to the takedowns, whatever. So I understand why people play Holly. She's probably the safer pick, but at some point at 40 years old, this shit gets a little bit harder. And Ketlen is one of those young up-and-comers. I think she's ready, and I think this is her moment. I think she gets a takedown and wins a fight. So I'm picking Ketlen, but I don't feel great about it, is what I'm going to say. She's definitely not going to be my lock of the week, I'll tell you that.
Dude, again, people always trash me for how I pronounce people's names. I at least try to pronounce the correct name. Who is Ketlen? Who's Ketlen?
Who, me? You talking to me?
Yeah, it's Ketlen.
I'm saying Ketlen. I said Ketlen Chuchagian.
No, you just said Ketlen 6 times in a row. It's unbelievable.
I did not. Pejeda. Ketlen Vieira.
Pejeda. Yeah, so I guess we're split
I thought you were talking. I was like reading through the chat, like who's making fun of you, and then it got real quiet. I'm like, wait, you're talking to me?
No, because
No
I
way
get anytime we break down Russians, I get slaughtered in the comment section, and then you're
cultured. You're from New York. I'm from the middle of nowhere, Indiana. Of course, I'm gonna say it wrong.
Everybody's Bubba. We got Bubba versus Bubba. Yeah, listen, we're split here. I don't think anybody could disagree with either of our analysis. I think we're both correct, right? Like, yes, Holly Holm is an incredible kickboxer, incredible boxer, manages range really well, should be able to touch up Ketlen and stay on the outside. But she's aging, she's slowing down. Ketlen is big as hell, decent everywhere, but a little slow, but should be able to bully her way in. So the fight could literally go either direction, and I don't think anybody's going to disagree with the analysis. There are people disagreeing with the pick, obviously, and we're completely split, but not the analysis itself. So pick your side, but I will tell you right now, I'm probably not going to have Holly Holm at $9,100.
Are you doing the potty dance?
No, I don't know why. I'm just antsy.
Potty dance.
So I don't, Holly Holm, $9,100. That's like stoppage money. I don't think there's a stoppage. So I don't think I'm going to have Holly Holm in my lineup, even though I do think she wins. And it is 5 rounds, but significant strikes over 5 rounds, that doesn't score well enough. What do you think? You're going to have Ketlen. She's probably, 7,100 is probably not terrible if she gets a takedown or take Ketlen.
Hell, man, I tell you what, she's tough as shit, man, and I just like her wrestling, man. I mean, I've been wrestling my whole life, freak folk style, the other kinds, and no, I like it. Yeah, it should be I just said Ketlen again, but yeah.
You did, see? There it is.
I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
Bucky Knife Fight Strike Line, I don't know what to do with that either. It might be a more or less, because Ketlen is slow, and she's not super high volume. Like, I get into 121 against somebody like Holly that has that kind of movement. She's going to need takedowns to do it. And I just mentioned Holly Holm has fought the best on planet Earth and has a 78% takedown defense. So I don't think Ketlen's going to get to 121. What do you think?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, you asked the question. I answered the question all you want from me. It's a yes or no question. I said yes or no.
Well, if you guys want $50 free, go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you.
To expand on my previous thought.
It's literally that simple. Wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit. I send you $50. And yes, Jacob will post his dedicated lock of the week video tomorrow. We'll find out who Clown of the Month is. We should rename Wall of Shame to Clown of the Month. I love it.
That doesn't make any sense.
You know what's so funny?
Clown is one person.
I know you pick the.
Imagine if we did like ESPN animated stuff to where like every time I said something, it's like a clown getting out of a car and then it reads like their text or whatever. You know how they do like those animated things or whatever.
Well, we need an editor. Yeah, get us an editor. What is funny is what I've noticed. Did I show these stats? I think I did. What is funny?
Nice reach.
Sorry. People have gotten nicer. Meaning, when you would do your lock of the week, they would trash you. You're an idiot. Your hair is red. I'm sure you know. Horrible thing. You have an innie. Like horrible things to you. And then you started.
Wait, whoa! We're not going to slide past that. I'm pretty sure that the innies are very normal. Angelo, if you've got an Audi, we got to see it. I would need to see this thing.
I'm not talking about belly buttons, you moron.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I'm not talking about even the live chat. I am not talking about belly buttons. But all of a sudden you start pinning their comments in a video. Everybody's nice. Hey, Jacob, my lock is this. Good luck.
I'm the people's champ, man. People love me. I and I get it. People absolutely hate you, and I get it. But yeah, people love me.
2 weeks ago, people were like, "You ginger moron! How could you pick so and so?" Now they're like, "Ooh, I think so and so might be my lock."
Anytime Sean V is on my side, you know what's funny is once Sean V said that Hebos won that fight, that validified it for me. It validated it to me that she actually won the fight. So, Sean V, he's usually he's on top of things, man.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for hanging out. Continue this conversation in the Discord. It is 100% free, like everything else we do. The link is in the description, like everything else we do. Hop in there, argue with each other there. And if you want to vote on fights, weonpicks.com/vote. If you pick a perfect card, we send you $100. Literally zero strings. You don't have to be a member, nothing. We just give you $100 if you pick a perfect card. And check out Jacob's Lock of the Week video tomorrow. We're doing giveaways now, right? So if the Lock of the Week hits, we're giving away money. Jacob can explain it. WeWantPicks.com for all of the free money. See you guys this week.